See, years ago, I wasn't born in the 60s and 50s, but years ago, people wrote songs about life and the world today, and all these songs were hits. Music got us out of all of those situations, whether it was, you know, black and white, black bathrooms, white bathrooms, all that crap. Songs we shall overcome. Now, people want to say about bling bling. You know, bling bling, bling bling. My car this and my car that, and my big booty this. Why would you want to make a song about that? You know what I mean? If I never make it to anywhere, if I never have a gold record or a platinum record, I would never make a song about bling bling.
Because he came from the church, his roots, his gospel, and he plays an incredible steel guitar.
Robert Randolph's rise is about as fast as Elvis. From nowhere to major recording contract, been on every national TV show, and he's only been at it a couple, 3 years.
When I first saw Robert, what struck me was this beautiful sincerity in what he's doing. You can't help but be moved by it.
What Robert and Marcus and Danielle do, it's got 80 years behind it of making people feel good.
The sacred steel music, I really believe it would never leave our church. But Robert is providing an avenue for more people to see it and want to play it.
I was never really sure whether it was supposed to be like a secret society. It almost seems like it is.
To you, you think we're entertaining. Well, to us, we're having church.
The centennial celebration of the founder of our church, Mother Mary Magdalene Tate, and we are here from all over. Our facility is packed beyond capacity.
I leave a legacy for boys and girls everywhere, not just in the house of God, but in these United States of America. I hope that this experience will someday go all over the world. I hope that it will take flight and go to Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and line on into the 7 continents of the world, that true holiness will take flight.
They always told me, who you are and where you came from influence where you're going. Let's talk about where you came from.
The House of God stands out among other Holiness Pentecostal African American churches because of its music. There is no other church where the steel guitar is so out front all the time.
That's what distinguished us as a unique church. It was established by a lady named Mother Mary Magdalena Tate in 1903.
She is recognized as the first African American woman to start a Holiness Pentecostal movement.
Robert was born in the Keith community. His grandfather on his father's side was the first bishop of the Diocese of New Jersey. On his mother's side, I am an ordained elder of the House of God Church. So he was born on both sides of the family into people that's already established in the faith. Way before he was conceived, we were in it.
I was born into the sound of sacred steel music, being born into the church. All my family has been a part of the House of God Church.
I'm a minister. His father's a deacon. My children grew up always going to church Wednesday night, Friday night, Sunday school, Sunday service, Sunday night service.
Church got us so busy. But then we go home as just regular assistant brother. You pull my hair, I kick you in the shades, you know, things like that.
I knew he was special as he was growing up. I thought he was going to be a famous drummer. As a toddler, he would always bang on my tables, and he would bang on the pots with spoons.
When Robert was playing the drums, we knew we was going to have a good time in service and we was going to shout because he had that beat.
And then I started thinking he was going to be a famous NBA player.
Hey, Pete, it's for you, baby.
I just knew he was going to be famous. I just never knew he was going to be a famous steel guitar player. So he always admired the steel guitar players in our church. So we always had that influence.
You had about 4 or 5 main steel players before me. That's what make up the original sound of our sacred steel music.
Each generation has a person that's kept the music going.
My name is Willie Eason, E-A-S-O-N, and most of them know me.
So Willie Eason really got the guitar into the church and laid the foundation for the style. He would talk to the steel, so he made it become alive.
You're gonna let your mouth. They have responded back to me, just like it's actually a person.
Henry Nelson would be the second generation. He learned from Willie Eason.
Henry Nelson developed this very raw, driving, one-chord praise music, which became the convention. Probably the next people to come along that were of influence were Ted Beard and Calvin Cook.
Calvin had his unique picking style. And me, I just tried to join chords along with picking. So when the young guys come, they would pattern who they liked the best between Ted, Calvin, and Nelson and try to come up with theirs.
Each generation takes it to another level. They'll keep the basic music, but then they'll add their own little touches to it.
It's a classic model of a folk tradition. It's learned by ear, by imitation. Very few of these musicians have had people really sit down and show them much.
You kind of start off on the drums, and from there you usually go to the steel.
Sacred steel is passed on and learned by the younger players from really being in service, listening to us older guys.
We would have tapes and videos and listen to them, try to mimic exactly what they do in the church service.
That's how it passes. Go to church, go up into the sound, that's your music that you listen to. You play it, that's the music you learn.
This instrument really originated from the island of Hawaii. They started playing them in the House of God. I guess because we've always been a small church. You wouldn't have a $2,000 or $3,000 organ, you know, it's easier to just go and get you a couple $100 guitar.
They were pretty economical instruments, and they were portable and totally programmable. And these guys didn't want to sound like the country players. They admired them, but they wanted their music to sound like their music. So they had to figure out a way to make this pedal steel work for them.
It's not a regular guitar that you get to make chords like this. It uses a slide and picks. And you gotta use both hands, both feet to create a whole nother sound.
The steel can be very complicated, especially if you're gonna play sacred steel, because just about all of us tune our instrument different. You know, you don't have a basic tuning that you have to, you know, conform to. Robert has amazing tuning and is something that he invented. He knew my tuning, he knows Calvin tuning, he knows Nelson tuning, but he found he needed 3 more strings in us.
Always gotta do something different. Because people go, wow, 13 strings. Something, what you can do on 13 strings.
Robert gravitated towards a steel guitar about like age 15. He was absolutely horrible at the time. We would yell and tell him to shut up.
Man, it was rough in the beginning. Every night I used to hear Robert, ding, dong, ding, dong. And then one day, I sent him out to Detroit, to Ted Beard.
Robert is like one of my children, and I'm hard on them than I am other people, because, you know, you associated with Ted Beard, you know, then I'm going to make sure that you're doing it right. When Robert came to study with me, I was really surprised at how fast he could pick, but he didn't have no structure, and when they called on him, you know, to do a selection, he would just jam.
I learned from Ted how to play in church, what notes to play. Don't try to impress people when you're playing. It's not about that. When I was younger, that's what I really cared about. I wanted to, you know, show the boys I had something in my tank, you know.
Robert started learning how to play from Ted and Chucky Campbell. All 3 of us spent a lot of time with him. He would call, hey, Cook, how you doing? How you like this? Then I'd give my suggestion. And he would learn it and take heed.
Calvin told me I need to be more precise. Ted started moving that neck because the songs weren't right.
Robert knows, you know, if he ain't doing it right, he gonna hear from you.
I took a lot of that in. I went home and practiced, and I'm still taking it in now.
Sit down, you might have come right now.
He came back over the summer playing in the church, and it was the most magnificent thing. And it was like, wow, how did he do this out of nowhere? And I remember the pastor came off the pulpit and anointed his hands. And after that, whoo, you talking about playing? So many steel players in the church, but everybody's not anointed. And that's what we see in Robert, that he plays with an anointing. And that's why a lot of people are drawn to him.
When you are anointed, people will feel it. And as the music plays, some people dance in the spirit. And it may seem like they wow, but it's very controlled.
Church, get home from church, back on the streets, so you see both sides, and you know promoting some of that stuff is not going to do you no good in life. And we already know that we had musical talents, so we didn't have to do those things to be able to be cool or to be able to fit in.
I was never too worried about what the streets might do. Being raised in the church, of course, that steered him away from a lot of mischief and trouble that he could have gotten into as a child. I remember we were going through a divorce, his father and I. So he would just stay up in his room long hours, and he was supposed to go out with some friends one night, and he didn't.
It's a song that I wrote. One of my friends got shot and killed. I was supposed to be with him on that same night. When I got the news, I just went in my room. Said a little prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come.
We was always supposed to be together on Friday night. All of us go out, you know, do knucklehead stupid stuff. But I just elected to stay in the house. So playing this guitar kept me in at that time from being out in the streets.
God works in mysterious ways. So the prayer is his way of thanking God and acknowledging that God was in the plan and that it could have been him.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors.
We refer to this music in church as just church music. But as it got out to different parts of the world, then it became sacred steel. Bob Stone is the guy who put sacred steel on the map. He discovered the music through some of the guys in Florida.
Bless the Lee boys, bless the Lee family, in the name of Jesus, we are brothers, keep the Lord.
I've been documenting this tradition and working with these folks and getting to know them for 12 years. It is a responsibility if you're the one that's facilitating the exposure of this music to the public. People's lives are going to be changed.
Thanks a whole lot for having us. It's great to be here, and we appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
The Lee Boys, we are a family band. We're still gospel. We call it sacred still. But our mission is just to share with the world what we've been doing and playing and doing all our life. There's about 5 groups that's out. The Lee Boys, the Cameron Brothers, Robert, Calvin Cook, Aubrey Jan. Those are known ones that's out. And I think we're still in that transitional stage dealing with the church, that fine line with religion and tradition. So we understand.
We have to give our props to Uncle Bob, because you're coming to this big tradition that's been around 70 years. It's never been outside of the walls, and you're taking a chance, going and getting a record label to come do recordings.
He was connected with Art Hootie Records, and they all were the first ones to record our music and get it out.
The Arhoolie album came out in early '97, and then the Sacred Steel Convention started in the year 2000. It has a lot of the energy of a church service, but more freedom for the musicians.
The Sacred Steel Convention is a place where they give all the young fellas a chance to showcase what they can do.
Robert Randolph made his public debut in 2000 at the first Sacred Steel Convention. That's when Jim Markle teamed up with Robert.
Bob had told me that Robert was this young kid that was really, really spectacular. I saw him on Friday night. He was just dancing in the aisles, but I was sort of like, who is this kid? Because he just had this thing. Then, of course, when I played, he absolutely blew up there.
He was so quick and so fast, and the showmanship surprised everybody. He became a superstar that night.
A month later, I got a voicemail, and it started like a minute of playing. Hey, this is Robert, give me a call back. And that was kind of where it started.
We decided to have Robert and his band come to a studio that one of the producers I managed had in Brooklyn.
Gary Waldman, as he phrased it to me, it was going to be some sort of audition. I just want to get him in the studio and check him out.
Robert was supposed to be there around 7 o'clock, so me and Jim get there around 6:30. Sitting there with Roscoe, waiting. Comes about 9:30.
The artist didn't show up. I guess there was some kind of thing that they had a van that broke down in the tunnel. You know, it was a musician's dog ate my homework kind of thing.
And then the next time we had it set up for him to come in, half the band bailed on him. So it was just Robert and Marcus.
I think I was thinking, all right, well, the first day they broke down, they didn't make it. Now don't have a whole band, it's just the drummer and Robert. Let's see what it is.
Robert showed up with his steel, and Marcus with one pair of totally frayed drumsticks. And it was sort of amazing right off the bat.
Robert was attacking it, playing this ferocious, incredible licks. What really sold me was Marcus and him together. Clearly they had a connection that you can't get unless you've played together since you're little kids.
I don't know if Ron ever sat in the studio, but that's the first time I've been in the studio. And for me, it was kind of like, whoa, we're going to record this thing, and the beats got to be on right and everything. When you're in church just playing, you playing out all freely, you know what I mean?
I played it back for them, and they were kind of blown away because they never heard themselves before in a studio. So it was kind of exciting for both of us.
When we first started out playing in Roscoe's, I was just kind of like doing it because Ron wanted me to do it. I wasn't really thinking about the band, but I'm just glad he had the right mind to be like, let's take it out and start playing clubs instead of just hiring our talent.
What I wanted to do is take the music out of the church and put it into the mainstream music world, and we want to have a band that could take the same energy and some of the same riffs that we had in church and transfer them over to shows.
Me and Rob, fathers are brothers. With Danielle, we're not blood cousins, but our families go so far back that you just kind of happen to be my cousin.
It's my little cousins, man. I adopted these cats.
Danielle came up, he started playing with us, then John Guinea started playing with us, and then it was a family band.
First community to embrace Robert was the jam band scene because he was taken out by John Medeski and the North Mississippi All-Stars, who at the time were garnering so much attention.
They asked us to open up for them at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City.
And the All-Stars did something that I've never seen a headlining band do. They brought Robert and his band back on after their set in front of a packed house. That was kind of the incident that got Robert his first reputation in New York, because this group of music fans called the New York City Freaks, they saw Robert and they immediately started spreading the word.
I'm feeling the freak. I'm absolutely feeling the freak. And it's going on right over there. New York City Freaks!
It's just a bunch of people that are drawn together by the love of going to see live music.
So it just brings joy to my heart, joy to my mind, what only God has done for me.
When the jam band scene sees a band that really takes them off, then they're going to spread the word, you know, just like in church, and that's what took off with Robert.
There was no holding back, the instant interest, and then just, you know, exploded.
It's a little odd that Robert has found himself in the jam band world, which was spawned from an entirely different subculture. But when you're talking about music, anything's possible. He's found himself in a world that makes sense, but he doesn't know why.
I told Rob, I ain't never played in front of this many white people in my life. I was flipping, you know what I mean?
Mainly with the jam community, you got 95% white music listeners who only associated black musicians with rap music or blues. So they embraced us because we came with something very different, and they never experienced what we experienced in our church.
Wants to make you happy and walk out of that show. Like, damn, that was great, you know, and I'm glad I'm alive.
The jam band community launched Robert's career, there's no doubt about it.
Hendrix ain't got nothing on Randolph.
People who come to those shows, they talk to each other. We would go and play in a new town, and there'd be 200 people there just from word of mouth. People from New York calling their friends up and saying, you gotta go see this guy. And that was just so important for the band's morale, because it's not fun to start driving out of town and go do shows and there's 12 people there. We were really lucky. It doesn't happen that way very often.
How y'all doing tonight? You know what? Every time I play a show in any town, I always know there's somebody who don't know the march. There's somebody out there who don't know what the march is. Tonight, you don't got to be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. The march is a dance that makes you feel so good inside. Can I get a witness in this room tonight? No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, it's a dance that makes you feel so good. I'm going to do the dance tonight in San Francisco. I'm going to do it again tomorrow night in LA. Let me show you how to march. Come on, come on.
I want to be a musician and connected with music for the rest of my life, trying to spread good word to people everywhere, all races, all ages. Even if it's not spiritual, even if you're not talking about God or the Lord, just to have something to give them, to kind of tell people no matter what you're going through, if you press on, everything, you'll be all right.
Call service to order.
We're living in a society where people got all kinds of problems. Really, they don't know who to turn to. And here come a music, just in the nick of time, to tell you to press on and don't give up.
We may not be the traditional preachers, but through our music, we're spreading a good message. Feel the music, because the music speaks for itself.
When I would come along, they never want us to play in the world. And even now, there's a lot of bishops that don't like the idea of taking any other place but the church. But me, I feel different. I feel like the sacred steel music is a gospel, and that's supposed to go to all the world.
To make a change, you're always going to have somebody kick against it, but musicians like to further advance what he does and not stay in the same place and do the same thing all the time. So those who had the opportunity, now they're further advancing their music and taking it out and playing gospel.
Gospel is the good news of God. It can transcend age barriers. It can go through the secular world. It can touch anybody at any given time.
Everybody knows what gospel songs are about. They're to make you feel good. And people need that. If we keep it in the church, only 300 people are going to hear the message.
That's why he fits so well with the Blind Boy. That's why he's on 2-hour records, because he knows it's about our kind of music.
If you look at gospel music as being one of the bedrock roots of American music, and sacred steel is an important part of gospel, Robert is defining a new root instrument and educating us about a form of music that we did not know about.
You know, the Blind Boys are not going to be here too very, very, very much long, so we were hoping that maybe some young artists will take up where we left off and carry on.
Biggest thing we did when we first came out was Madison Square Garden. I was geeked. It was there to my birthday, you know what I mean? I was charged.
I just got a picture on the Knicks basketball floor.
I'm sitting in front of the next side like this. Hit the room. Okay, I don't want to play there. That's the whole game, yo. Ready for fight?
It's all about the pinstripes, Yankees, Madison Square Garden.
You're right, yo. Let's go. We're going to have a good time all night tonight. Our job is to get you warmed up for Dave Matthews.
From the first time they stepped on a big stage, there wasn't any transition into like, oh God, we're nervous or anything. They were pumped up. The bigger the show, the better they are.
Have a good time with Robert Randolph and the Family Band.
He's developed a fan base just by playing. That was my experience. But I never really ever counted on records. I still don't. I make my living by playing to audiences, and I think he can do that. He knows that.
Everything he presents is real, and that's what lands on people and then doesn't go away. So it's inevitable for him to excel if just a couple of lights shine in that direction.
Whenever you get down about something, all I want you to do is remember this song. You can get through your hard times. Just sing it any way you want to sing it. My cousin Danielle over here loved to sing a song. It's not how good he sings this song. It's the way he expresses himself when he's thinking about his hard times. Come on, Danielle, help somebody feel his song. Come on.
Inspiration to see someone that comes up from a culture of music that is about healing and that he's so deeply committed to it in how he performs. I think he's one of the great hopes in music today.
Never dreamed about this. Well, I always dreamed about this, but I never thought it was going to happen. But it did.
The music is just in them. It's part of them. It's not something that they did to have a career. If they weren't out here doing this, they'd be back in church making people feel the same way. That's what they do.
Oh man, really great. I'm telling you, it was really fantastic. Because you know that's my song. I feel like pressing my way on. My man took my song to a whole other level.
You just need to go home. Come on.
In the beginning of 2002, record companies started talking to the band. Although there was definitely great enthusiasm, nobody really had an idea of what to do. The way we saw it was Robert was a mainstream artist. He can connect on all levels. He can connect in the urban world, in the rock and roll world, anywhere.
Robert wanted to get out to the world. He wanted to be as big as possible, and you can't do that without a major label.
The way Robert got to Warner Brothers was the chairman of our label, Tom Wally, took a real interest in it and went after it.
What's up?
Tom was totally open to the band following their own creative path and said, I don't want you to leave town without signing a record deal.
We signed with Warner Brothers because we knew they would help us get to the next level.
I'm on this label now, so y'all gotta believe what I'm talking about.
We share the same vision between label and band to come up with a CD that could help us create our own niche in the mainstream music world.
I don't know what you come to do. You.
They had 100% belief in Robert and the plan that we had for him.
We all felt that maybe it wasn't the most popular music right now, but 10 years from now, you're going to see a box set on Robert Randolph because his talent is just going to grow and get bigger, and that's the kind of heritage artist you want at record labels that can look back at his phenomenal career and go like, wow, look what this man did.
We'd like to thank all of y'all for coming out with us today. Thank you. How you doing? You made a whole lot of dances. Sorry, we all family.
Tom may not have known what kind of record Robert was going to make, but he knew that Robert was great. He was like, let's do it.
The thing that I enjoy the most is recording really talented musicians in a live setting and everybody going to the same place at the same time. My approach at first was to get out of the way and see what happened.
All these songs that I do is like a puzzle. How I figure stuff out is like I do it in pieces. I'll come out with a riff, and somewhere down the line I'll come up with something else while playing something else. I go, wait, that'll fit in that song.
When I wake up in the morning and you're lying next to me, oh, please sleep. That might not be the lyrics. This is still inspired.
They wanted to make an approachable record. They wanted to make a record that had songs that people could sing along with their choruses and then fade out in 3.5 or 4 minutes. Some bands, if you would suggest that they shorten their songs and stop doing what they'd just been doing for the last 200 nights in a row on stage, they would have freaked out. But they were into it.
I said it was so refreshing to see your face. Pick me up when I'm feeling down, and you chase my blues away. Said it was so refreshing.
I'm sort of a victim of pop music and the 3-minute song that makes perfect sense. And I think Soul Refreshing is a great pop tune. And his other ones too. Stevie Wonder wrote fantastic singles. I think Robert could write singles like him.
My style is just do everything that people didn't say you could make pedal steel sound like.
Ron got his own style. You can hear a lot of Ted, you can hear a lot of Cal, you can hear a lot of Henry Mills, you can hear a lot of everybody, but he got his own style.
All it was for him was church music and, you know, hip-hop until someone gives him a Stevie Ray Vaughan tape and something clicks for him.
We played together many times, and it was always a blast because he was opening his mind and his ears to all the rock and roll and blues stuff that he's discovering now.
I used to tell people Robert was like a combination of Michael Jordan, James Brown, Duane Allman, and Jimi Hendrix, but Michael Jordan only in the sense that he's clearly the leader of the team. But the heart that Marcus and Danielle bring to what Robert does is irreplaceable.
Danielle's always the best musician in terms of all of us because he just has something else that very few musicians have. He could hear something that could play so many different things, learn something real fast. I don't get that, you know what I mean?
musicianship definitely pushes Robert to another level. That's why you'll see Robert just laughing, you know, because Danielle is just on another planet with the stuff he plays.
I ain't messing with Carter.
We playing together so long now that we can feel what, you know, what the next man gonna do. I can feel what Marcus about to do on the drums, what Rob about to do on the steel. You know what I mean? Just a little thing we got.
So I'm gonna just go.
Tom. We all know not to think about it too much, or not to practice something too many times, because that's not the musical background we come from.
Twice. Are you gonna be doing that for a while? No, it's like a verse. I'm gonna do a singing verse. All right. Yeah, just start.
If you really tried to define Robert Randolph, you almost have to say, like, unclassified. He is across all the boundaries. He's a soul singer, he's a blues player, and I think by making a record that touches on all those elements, he really delivered the kind of record you want from an artist, which is to surprise people.
You can call us gospel, you can call us jam band, you can call us rock and roll, you can call us blues, you can call us jazz. As long as our music get out there, you can call us what you want.
Hey! 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 Like, hey! Woo!
After Unclassified came out, the reaction from people at TV shows, all the talk shows, was huge.
The press just eating him up. Within 3 months, I had him on VH1, The Tonight Show, Conan. It was just one after the other. The LA Times, Esquire. He came out of nowhere and just blew him all away.
Thank you. Thank you. God for me out here.
From the very start, one of the main ways we promoted Robert was television. Club's great, 1,000, 2,000, even Madison Square Garden, 15, 20,000 people seeing Robert is great. But then you switch over to television, and it's 5, 6, 7 million people seeing Robert on one night.
Hey! Yeah! There you go. Yeah.
The David Letterman show booked him on day of release, which is unheard of.
Happy record dropping day. The record dropped today. I was getting misty-eyed coming up here. And records out. After you sell a man, then we get misty-eyed. But these players like Christmas this morning, like you wake up, you got up early. I got up early. I went back to my roots riding around the hood today. I took my hands off. I was like, yo, pick it up, go watch Letterman.
To understand the music that this band plays, you have to see them. First, there's the shock of seeing them, and, you know, they kind of look like they're going to be rappers, or who the hell are these guys? But it's about connecting and affecting the people in the audience, and I think that's why when you see them on a video or you see them on a TV show, it has such impact.
Robert Randolph and the family band. Showtime!
Rock videos and seeing rock bands on TV has become routine these days. You've seen everything. You've seen everything they can do. So when somebody like Robert comes out with something that's totally new and unique, of course it makes an impact. And of course people are like, who is this guy?
Not to me. Give it to those guys. It's great. Toast to Unclassified. February, Grammy. That's right. I want to go home and not play for like 2 months.
What's the best thing that happened?
The Grammy nomination.
We heard that. That was probably the best news. Somebody instant messaged me. One of the dudes in Ben Harper band. He's like, hey man, congratulations. I was like, on what? It's the Grammy nominee. I said, oh, really? He was like, oh, you don't know? I said, I totally know.
So you think it's bigger than getting signed?
Yeah, it's way bigger, yeah. I mean, how many people get signed? Never get to even put out a record.
And your record was the one you wanted?
Yeah, it's the one we wanted to do right now at that point, you know. Of course, as years go on, you get new ideas and get some experience under your belt. It's actually good to be somewhere else than New York City on New Year's Eve, man. You think how cold it'd be, man? All those cold New Years.
Proud sponsor of the Grammys. Get the hottest fashions at a JCPenney store near you. It's
everybody's dream, no matter who you are, is to perform on the Grammys.
Judge, Robert, guys, let's get this together.
That's a guitar talent. Can't imagine something else that could be bigger, more exciting.
We're here live backstage at the Grammys. Robert Randolph. What's going on?
More nerve-wracking, more fun.
This is one of our favorite radio stations ever. Big fan.
To win a Grammy is something else too, but you can win 50 Grammys and never play on the Grammys.
Do you realize what the buzz is like about you, man? All of a sudden, you are it. You're the next big guy. Everybody's like, you got.
So for Robert Randolph and the family band, probably won't be a big moment.
You guys will take a picture of the seats. We're like on like the 6th row. Us right here, right? And then like Alicia Keys and Beyonce right here. Look!
The way the Grammy performance came about was very lucky, but also not that surprising.
Ken Ehrlich, who's the producer of the Grammys, happened to see the video on VH1, and they were trying to figure out how to do a kind of a funk segment.
The producers came to the House of Blues to see him, stayed the whole show. They came backstage afterwards.
They just said, we have to have him on. It didn't matter to them how many records he had sold or that people didn't know who he was.
It was purely the fact that the producer of the Grammys wanted to put on a great show, and he felt that Robert would contribute.
Okay, stand by please, everyone.
You sit in your seats for the first 5 acts, commercial 6 before you have your seat. That gives you about a half hour in the dressing room. You're going to change clothes, do the hair, makeup, touch-ups you need to do. Probably about 10 minutes before you're on, we'll walk to the stage, pull the guys up, they do the performance, and done.
That is a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
You can see how the Grammys is set up. Nobody is treated more important than the other person. So it's humbling to know like people coming up to us, friends, Earth, Wind & Fire. It's like, wow, oh, what's up, man? We appreciate your music. And that's cool to be a part of that.
Grammys 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, this our day. That's right.
The Grammys was just unbelievable, too amazing to even comprehend. And I think that Robert and Marcus and Danielle deserve that.
I've been playing bass since I was 5 years old, so I'm very surprised that I left. Where I'm from, Columbus, Ohio, I left there 3 years, you know what I mean? And I'm playing on the Grammys.
We was all souped to be up in there. We was nominated, but we lost both from them. So they could take the Grammys from us, but they couldn't take me off the stage. I knew when we was coming up, we was gonna kill it.
In the church of eternal funk, we love the faithful, but we need new disciples. Brothers and sisters, I need you to show your love for Robert Randolph and the family band.
When I looked at the curtain, I just went blank. I saw Beyonce, I saw Alicia Keys, I saw Carlos Santana, I saw so many different people, and I just went blank. I didn't know if I played right, sang right, followed the song. Only afterwards, I was like, man, it's cool.
It was awesome how he was in there with Prince and Clinton and all them guys holding his own. That really put the steel guitar, special far as those black guys play, right out front, you know. Yeah, we're not in the background anymore.
Music played on. the time. Music brings you peace of mind. Music brings tears to your eyes, especially when it comes from above. Doing the album with Robert was a lot of fun. I had written quite a few songs. Robert called me and said, "Hey, Cook, you want to do these songs?" And I said, "Hey, man, I would like to do that." He said, "Well, I'll be there, so get them ready, and we're going to record them."
Ready? Just another guy who took this instrument to mainstream and let everybody know about the whole history of the music.
While y'all playing, and then go back over and sing it later on? Okay. All right, good.
Now, if I could like help people get out, you know, like what I've been doing with Calvin, you know, helping him get his thing out, it'll be so inspiring to people and kids and older folks.
When it comes from above. All right, that's it. Okay. You went inside, Bob.
If there's a level of curiosity in the listener, then they go to find out where this has come from. And they go to the record store and they look for pedal steel players. And I think that the rarer it is, it inspires more curiosity. You feel like you're uncovering, discovering. So he could be at the spearhead of that.
That'd be nice for some orchestra. This was the song, this was it. I've been playing the steel guitar for 46 years. So Robert has given me a chance of a lifetime to be a part of what he's doing. Like when Ted, Robert, Harvey Gent, and myself played in Austin City Limits. That, to me, was the best feeling.
In recent years, young musicians have been programmed to conform to the trends and, you know, what do I do to become famous? Robert grew up in a whole different world, and people are identifying with that and going, hey, maybe that's what I'm looking for. And now, a lot of these people that are part of the Sacred Steel movement are going to find tie-dyed hippie kids either in the church or at their shows or in the supermarket going, hey, aren't you Aubrey Dan?
Robert, in his quest to be known, he's reaching back. I probably couldn't do what he's doing. I wouldn't even try it. But it's so precious that he remembered all of us that kind of helped him along the way and let it be known to how he got to where he is.
It's important that people know about players like Calvin and Ted Beard and Harry Nelson. A lot of these guys are up in age, so the greatest musical legacy that they have when they were in their prime will never be captured on anybody's CD or tape. So hopefully I can let people know about some of those players.
I don't think I've ever seen you intimidated, but were you kind of a little intimidated?
Oh yeah, I'm always intimidated. Whenever they come around, I'm going, for me to invite them to do this event.
It's bringing.
Even greater than it is for them, the way they feel, you know, it makes me feel I have no words for it. I still never forget, you know, how great these guys are because they are the originators of the sound that we play.
The music wasn't said to be hidden. It was something that just looked like it came out. And Robert really took it to the level that the church, which he grew up in, did not think that any of us would.
I don't think it's hit the limit yet.
No,
Nah,
we got a long way to go. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. That's my dream come true.
Robert is doing for the future is opening doors for other musicians. It's like rap, when it came out, somebody had to open the door. And then you have other people come behind them, but they'll never forget who made it happen. And that's Robert.
Robert Randolph is exceptionally focused and dedicated. He's like a basketball star. So just like kids not in the House of God might be out there shooting hoops in hopes of being the next Shaquille O'Neal, the House of God young people are practicing their steel guitar in hopes of being the next Robert Randolph or beyond.
To me, Robert is a steel guitar icon. He's influenced me to play this instrument because of the way he plays. He's someone I look up to as far as the steel. He's just an uplifting guy. Robert does peel off from all the older musicians, but right now we're just following his footsteps.
Robert Randolph being signed to a major label, you know, that's a big thing to us. I think a lot of people have been touched by his music and by the Cameron Brothers' music and by Lee Boys. I think Sacred Steel is really moving at the fast pace that it is because it's more of an inspirational type of thing. It's not that Robert just plays skillfully, he plays with an anointing. And the anointing will move people when people really don't know that you have it.
Robert Randolph, he's a very open person as far as styles, I noticed. He's really opened it up for us as far as steel players in the church. I enjoy his passion and his drive. He doesn't let nothing stop him. I never thought that the Spell Steel would be such an impact on the world. And I don't know how far we're going to go in this steel guitar business, but I'm just glad I'm along for the ride.
So much stuff keeps going on and meeting so many people where I haven't really had the chance to sit back and think about what has happened because it's been a constant ride. And I'm just trying to grow musically. I can't focus on people looking at me like I was like the ambassador of a style of music. But it makes me feel good that young kids all over the places looking at a pedal steel and saying, wow, maybe we could take what those guys did and create their own style of guitar playing and go further with it.
I was sitting here one day after the Grammys, and my late chief overseer, Dr. Elliott, called me, and he was very elated because Robert, known now from the Grammys, took time to say, hi, is my chief overseer. He said, I give him my blessings. He took time to call me. But whether or not we say, I'll support you, go ahead, I think he's going anyway. He's already there. He's already gone.
So a lot of people out there, fans, singers, songwriters, who've taken us on just for the fact that we brought something different to the music. And you look at a guy like Eric Clapton's been a part of everything, rock, blues, and he's just such a humble person. To be on this tour with him,
you see that this guy's 60-something years old, and I am 20-something, I know there's so much further to go.
I suppose at some point in my career I might have been very intimidated by his ability and going on after someone like that, because he takes every audience to that place. But I think I'm just about mature enough now to not be threatened by it.
There's a lot of great guitar players, but when you get noticed that quick on an instrument that nobody else really plays, you've got to be special. He went right to the top tier of respected guitar players in a minute, and you earn it from musicians. It doesn't get handed to you.
I don't know how many musicians you ever need to keep music alive. I don't think you actually need that many. Well, I often get into deep depression about it's all over. You know, I was kind of blessed to live during the birth and the death of rock and roll. And I meet someone like Robert, and it gives me belief that the thing is going to leave ahead for a little while.
Just don't work on you.
This world is supposed to be about love.